What's going on, Jets fans? Thanks for stopping in. I haven't been able to do a lot of live streams lately just because my schedule hasn't allowed me to, but I miss answering your questions, going back and forth with you, cutting it up. So I dropped a mailbag, and I got quite a few questions, bold takes, trade proposals, a little bit maybe Devonte Adams, Zach Wilson. It's the dead season, so why not? Let's talk about it all. All right, so first up, we had the most common thing that was sent my way was just the idiocy, the lunacy. Two takes that I'm not going to spend a ton of time on. One, Tiki Barber saying that Daniel Jones is going to have a better season than Aaron Rodgers. The thing is, I don't even think he believes that. I'd be willing to debate. I'll react to a hot take if I think somebody's wrong or if I think somebody's ignorant, but I really think he's just saying that just to be a shock jock. I don't even think he believes that. So you almost, my IQ points would lower if I went into data and reasoning of why that's crazy. Then we have Bill Barnwell, not to be outdone, who said the Jets needed to upgrade a quarterback, but they could have gotten somebody like Teddy Bridgewater and saved their draft picks. Teddy Bridgewater, who's been beloved everywhere he's went. So beloved that he never does more than a year anywhere, and I like Teddy. In fact, Teddy's a free agent. We'll get to it when we talk about Zach Wilson. I would love the Jets to sign Teddy Bridgewater again, right now. But, I mean, we saw this throughout the offseason from the mainstream media. Oh, just get this mediocre quarterback instead of Aaron Rodgers. Or the Jets, they don't need a really good quarterback to win. Look at the defense. Well, they don't need a really good quarterback to win what? To accomplish what? To win the Super Bowl? Yeah, you do. Of course you do. 18 of the last 22 quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl are either Hall of Famers or borderline Hall of Famers like Matt Stafford. Right? 18 of the last 22. And if I had to bet, the next one will be 2. Hope it's Aaron Rodgers. And the idea that, we always point to the outlier. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Okay, so let me get this straight. That's the plan, is to sign a mediocre quarterback like Nick Foles. Well, first of all, what's left out of that is that Carson Wentz had a borderline MVP-worthy season before getting hurt. That's why the Eagles had the record they did. Then Nick Foles catches lightning in a bottle and outplays Tom Brady in a shootout and wins a Super Bowl. That's your plan. That's the repeatable blueprint for success. Instead of the 18 out of the other 22 times when it was a Hall of Fame or borderline Hall of Fame quarterback. That's just crazy. It's crazy to point to that one time that guy did it. All right. That's wild. It's wild. The ceiling of what you can accomplish with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback is objectively higher than any of the other options. Lamar wasn't really an option. Jimmy G may not even play or pass his physical. And I like Derek Carr. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't an option, I would have been fine with Derek Carr. I would have said, let's just do it. Let's break the playoff streak. Let's just be a respectable, decent enough team because I'm so sick of losing. But come on. Derek Carr says at his opening press conference that he can't promise a lot of winning, but he's going to promise to try his best. Okay? Participation trophies after signing a $160 million contract. Aaron Rodgers walks into the building, says that one Super Bowl III trophy looks a little lonely. That's the expectation from the jump because he knows he's capable of delivering. And look, Derek Carr, you need to win 4 playoff games in a row to win a Super Bowl. And Derek Carr at the end of his career, if you gave me a 4.5 over-under on playoff victories, I'm smashing the under. It's not even a serious discussion. So we'll see how it works out. Nothing's guaranteed, but you need flour to bake a cake. You need a borderline Hall of Famer to have a realistic shot at winning the Super Bowl. And the Jets got the only one available to them. So please, enough of any of that. Now, let's get into some other questions. Got one from Stu. I've seen you suggest the Jets getting DeAndre Hopkins. They should trade for Devonte Adams, who is much better. DA plus GW equals Super Bowl. Well, just comparing the two players, Devonte Adams is way better than DeAndre Hopkins at this point in their career. If they were both free agents and I can get them both for the same price, I would sign Devonte Adams every single day and twice on Sunday over D-Hop. But that's not a one-for-one comparison because, okay, you got to trade for, again, I don't think this is happening, but whatever, it's June, nothing's going on, let's talk about it. I'll answer any question. Devonte Adams was traded for a 1 and a 2 last offseason. So how much has his value diminished? And they got a 1 and a 2 in one single draft. The Jets can't even offer that because they're not going to have a 1 next year most likely. We hope they don't because that means Aaron Rodgers is healthy. So now you're talking about okay, you're offering the Raiders what? A 2 in 2024 and a 1 in 2025? And then you bring in Devonte Adams, whose cap hit isn't too horrible the next 2 years, but then when his age 33 and 34 season, he's got a cap hit of 40 million plus each year, with having to swallow a lot of dead money if you try to get out of it. I know we're in the all in now, relatively all in, and I'm always looking to upgrade, but you have to have your walkaway number at some point, you know. And if in 2025, I'm looking at a 33-year-old Devonte Adams, and you're paying him 40 million, and he gave up 2 premium picks. So 40 million gets you what? 3 starters and then 2 premium picks. You're talking about potentially 5 starting players for an elder Devonte Adams. I think if that was the price, I think I would pass. Now, if for whatever reason the price is way different and you can get Devonte Adams for just a second round pick, then I would do it. Or like a 2 and a 5. Yeah, let's do it. I'll eat the money later, because that does move the needle significantly towards the Super Bowl. But again, you have to have a price for everything, right? And I think a 1 and a 2 would be my, now 2 second round picks, then we're starting to cook. But, you know, 1 and a 2 plus that contract, you know, I just don't think you could do that. He's so good though. He's so good. If they did, I'd be excited, but I'm trying to be somewhat pragmatic here. Next question. This one, didn't get the name on this one. Michael Clemens becomes the number 2 defensive tackle on the roster with his position change. Yes. I will say yes in 2024. Next season, Michael Clemens, after he has a full year to work into that, 295 pounds, and get used to playing on the interior. And then, you know, you have guys on 1-year deals like Quentin Jefferson and Al Woods that are probably gone. Then I think 2024 and beyond, it's Quinn on an extension, and then Michael Clemens as your 2 main guys in the interior. Michael Clemens, you know, it feels like just a fan buzz created thing, because the legend of Clemens feels like the bigger than the player. And maybe that'll always be the case, but Clemens can play. He can play. And I think he was a below average athlete on the edge, and maybe moving him inside and bulking him up, maybe you're kind of finding that sweet spot between his strength and his athleticism. I am really excited to see Michael Clemens on the inside. I think you're onto something. I think you may have to wait a year, but yeah, I think you're right. He will be the second best defensive interior player on the Jets in short time. All right, question number 3, or more of a statement from Patrick. Patrick says, Michael Carter II will be the best slot corner in the NFL in 2023. It's bold, but I can't say that's crazy. Am I going to pretend to know the top 5 best slot corners in the NFL off the top of my head? No, but I know Michael Carter is a really dang good one. And I know he's younger, and I know he keeps getting better every year. And I know he's one of the most underrated parts of this defense and of the team in general. When we talk about this young core of players, yeah, he's not Garrett Wilson, he's not Sauce Gardner, but slot corner is a starting position in the NFL. He plays 70% of the snaps. He's really good in the run fit. You never hear his name called on game day. You never hear any quotes from him in the locker room. The dude just brings his freaking lunch pail and gets to work. Love it. Love Michael Carter. Yeah, I think he could absolutely be. I think he is, you know, we talk about the cornerback duo of Sauce and DJ Reed, but it's really a trio with Michael Carter being an important player as well. Next up, Joseph says we should not be getting any more wide receivers or running backs. You win in the trenches. The Jets should trade for Jonah Williams. He wants to be traded from the Bengals. Okay. Again, you know, hey, see, now we're 0 for 2. I'm vetoing 2 trades. Yeah. Some of you guys tell me you want to add everybody. It's not Madden. Well, no, I want to add players that make sense on a dollar for dollar basis based on other moves we can make and how they fit into the roster. Jonah Williams, I don't see it. Now, I remember this off the top of my head because of how jarring of a stat it was. And I know that sacks allowed is not the end all be all for offensive linemen. You got to watch the film. Have I watched Jonah Williams film? No. So take it with a grain of salt, but I'm sorry. 20 sacks allowed the last 2 years is egregious. That's just bad, no matter how you slice it. And obviously the Bengals feel the same way because they moved him to right tackle and they replaced him with Orlando Brown Jr. And part of the reason that the Bengals haven't, done the whole dang thing is because they've been hemorrhaging sacks, and a big part of those sacks have been given up by one Jonah Williams. So if he moves to right tackle, and I'm assuming you maybe, Joseph, maybe you don't think Becton's going to be available. Okay. Well, is Jonah Williams at right tackle better than either Billy Turner or Max Mitchell? Maybe, but is he that much of an upgrade to warrant giving up draft capital and paying his enormous salary? I don't think so. I don't think that. I think if you're going to spend that kind of money or draft capital, you could do it somewhere else that would move the needle more and get like several players. You could re-sign Quan. You could bring in Dalvin Cook or another safety. Like 3 players that are on cheaper deals that would have a higher impact than just one overpaid offensive lineman. So I would pass on that. Just Win Baby says, have you seen that the New York Jets have been linked to pass rusher Yannick Ngakoue? Your thoughts? I saw this. I think Paul Boy Green did a video on it. Sports Illustrated listed him. It wasn't like an official rumor or a visit. It was just some guy's opinion. Hey, this team makes sense for him. And you have to remember, these national guys don't know the roster as well as we do. So this guy probably just said, okay, pass rusher, Robert Saleh, he likes pass rushers. Let's stick him here. So again, grain of salt there. Now, 0 for 3. I would not bring in Yannick Ngakoue. I would spend that money somewhere else. Yannick Ngakoue is very good. He's produced sacks everywhere he's gone. But the thing about Ngakoue is, and why he's still a free agent, is he is not a bad, not a poor. He is a reprehensible run defender. He leaks rushing yards like nobody else. So the Jets would probably see him as a situational player. And his salary, the contract that he would get, would probably exceed that role. So I don't know where you get him your snaps. Am I playing him on first down over Lawson or JFM or Jermaine Johnson? No. Am I it's crazy because he has like 50 times the career sacks of Bryce Huff. But I'm sorry, if I have 1 3rd and 8 to get off the field, I'm playing Bryce Huff because I've seen with my eyes no right tackle in the league has been able to block Bryce Huff. And sacks aren't the end all be all. Bryce Huff is as efficient a situational pass rusher as there was in the NFL on 3rd down. So I think, again, I look to invest that money elsewhere on the roster, and he's just not a complete enough football player. So you wouldn't be high enough in the pecking order to justify the contract. Will he get more sacks than Carl Lawson given the same snaps? Sure. But I think overall Carl Lawson is a more impactful football player because he's not a putrid run defender. And the pressures and the quarterback hits and coming back from the second year back from injury, all that stuff. So I would say no. So I said no to Devonte Adams for the price. Yes, I freaking want Devonte Adams on my team. Okay, I'm not an idiot. But am I giving up a 1 and a 2 and paying him $40 million on his 33 and 34-year-old seasons? I don't know about that. And then to me, Jonah Williams and Ngakoue just don't make sense for the resources you have to give up. All right, next, Carlos says, instead of signing Dalvin Cook, like you say, the Jets will just re-sign Quan. Well, I would argue both, man. I don't think either of those guys are getting a ton of money. What's Quan? Quan got $1 million last year. Make it 3, triple it. What's Dalvin Cook going to get? $5 million? $6 million? I wouldn't pay him more than that. Now, the Jets are deeper at running back than linebacker, so I understand what you're saying, and I think there's a world in which the season plays out, such as Quan being more important than Dalvin Cook, because what if there's one injury, like if Quincy gets injured, then Quan is like a full-time starter on defense. And then maybe Breece Hall comes back fully healthy and, Dalvin and Michael Carter bounces back and Dalvin Cook loses a step. And it's like, oh man, I get what you're saying. But I still just look at Dalvin Cook and I think he's just a better, more impactful player than Quan Alexander at this point in their respective career. Dalvin Cook, again, I've had Vikings fans actually comment on my videos and saying, hey, I watched every game last year. He's washed. And it's like, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because I did not watch Dalvin Cook every game last year, obviously. And I know stats don't tell the whole story, but my goodness, how can you get 1,500 scrimmage yards, 10 total touchdowns at 4.5 yards a carry and be washed? That's the best washed season of all time. So I would rather bring in both, but if I had to just pick one, I think I would pick Dalvin Cook. I just think he's a better football player than Quan Alexander. But do both. Next, Zachary says Mecole Hardman becomes one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets and goes for 750 receiving yards and 200 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. I think he was pretty much on. I think that mirrors his season from 2021 when he played all the games. So yeah, you're right on the money. I would say I hope not, just because I think that means there's an injury to either Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, or Allen Lazard. I don't know, man. Like, to me, the second most number of targets in the wide receiver room is up for freaking grabs because Corey Davis hasn't been able to stay healthy. And Allen Lazard, I don't want to say he's overrated because that comes with the connotation of he sucks. And then he has one good game and everyone's going to say, see, you said he was overrated. Allen Lazard brings a lot of value to this football team. I'm glad he's on the team. We're better that he's on the team. But I'll put it this way. My expectation for Allen Lazard is nowhere near that of most Jet fans. Allen Lazard was barely scratching 400 yards until last year when he was force-fed a ridiculous target share. So shoot your shot, Zachary. Mecole Hardman's got a chance. I do think he'll end up probably being a tick further down in the pecking order than you're thinking. And also we have the tight ends and the running back. So I don't know if he'll get enough targets to do that, but I think he's going to be a very impactful player on the targets that he does get, on the snaps that he does get. Next up, NOX32N writes in and says, we need a reliably good backup quarterback. If Rodgers gets injured, do we feel good about Boyle or Wilson starting? No. In a Super Bowl or bust season, I feel better with a guy like Mike White as the backup. Okay, for starters, I'm starting to warm up to this that we probably should have done something to. The more and more I read this, because I've been kind of like, it's not the end of the world if Zach is the backup, and it's not. But at the same time, that shouldn't be the goal. The goal shouldn't be, oh, it's not the end of the world. No, the goal should be you're good to go. And the Jets are not good to go in their backup quarterback room. I think Zach Wilson should be better with better coaching and another year and Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. But I think, to me, mentally, if Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, has the flu and has to miss a game, and Zach has to come in a season with Super Bowl aspirations in front of that same crowd, mentally, and then when the first pass sails on third down and there's boos, and it's like, mentally, is he going to be able to overcome that? That's the question. But here's the other thing. Part of the reason why Mike White is not back with the Jets is if you're a Mike White level, Teddy Bridgewater level backup quarterback, are you going to sign with the Jets and then risk that, okay, Aaron Rodgers does have the flu, and now the Jets are faced with, okay, do we play Teddy Bridgewater, who we gave a 1 year, $5.5 million deal? Or do we play Zach Wilson, who's making $10 million, who we spent the highest draft pick that our team has had in the 21st century on, and to give him one more game with a new year, right? And that's kind of why Mike White probably wanted out of Dodge, because as long as Zach Wilson's sniffing around, you're never assured that number 2 quarterback spot. But yeah, I'm making a call to Teddy Bridgewater definitely and saying, let's do it, man. At this point, he's still a free agent. I don't know, what could it cost? $4 million plus incentives? Let's get him in here, especially if you're not going to spend that money anywhere else. If you're just going to keep it in your pocket, give it to a backup quarterback. I'm with you. Connor says, oh, I missed one in here. Got a bold prediction in here. And I forgot this person's name as well. Then we'll get to Connor. Bold prediction, Garrett Wilson puts up better numbers than Devonte Adams this year. I'd say it's not crazy, especially because Garrett Wilson has Aaron Rodgers and Devonte Adams has, we don't know. We don't even know who his quarterback is. So not crazy at all. Garrett Wilson has no ceiling. 1,100 yards and no quarterback and no offensive line and a bad OC. There is no ceiling on Garrett Wilson. So that's a bold prediction, but it's not crazy. Not crazy at all. All right, now back to Connor. Jets will go 1-5 heading into the bye week. Ouch. Lifelong Jets fan. Maybe I'm being pessimistic, but I see it as totally plausible. Oh, that would suck, man. The thing is, Connor, the suffering lifelong Jet fan in you is right 90% of the time. That's what sucks, right? What sucks is and that's why the media does it. Whenever anyone just gives an anti-Jets take, even if it's not based in evidence or whatever the case may be, if it's an ignorant take, if you just say Jets are going to suck, you're going to be right 90% of the time of my life, right? Or whatever can go wrong will go wrong. But that would be horrific. And you're not making the playoffs if you're 1-5 and people are getting fired. So I think the only way that happens is if there's, injuries that I won't even mention names. I'm not even going to put it into the universe, but it would take a cascade of very important injuries for that to be the case. And that would be brutal. So I hope not. Lupinati says, Bills finished last in the division. Love that. I can't imagine a scenario in which they finish below the Patriots unless Josh Allen gets injured. But I do think the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. The Dolphins are being slept on. I know we like to hate on their fans, and obviously their biggest question mark is Tua's availability. But they were a playoff team last year, and they got better. They added Jalen Ramsey. They added Vic Fangio. And when Tua played last year, their offense was pretty much unstoppable. So, yeah, Dolphins are a problem if Tua is healthy. So I think Dolphins, Bills, and Jets all, each of their fan bases should be able to see a path to which their team wins the division. And we'll find out when the games are played. But I think the floor for the Bills is third, really. And even that is unlikely because the Bills are a really good team too. I can't imagine them falling below the Patriots, though. All right, Aaron says, I predict the Jets are planning on signing a starting free safety next to Clark, worth around $7.5 million per year. What free safety do you think is still available that's worth that? If Kevin Byard somehow becomes a post-June 1st cut, I'm all over it. And if all it costs is $7.5 million, I'll throw in $20 myself. $7.5 million plus $20. Woody Johnson. Let's get that done. Yeah, I think you could see them adding a John Johnson, a Roddy McLeod type free safety that, I don't know, replaces Ashton Davis. But I think if they were going to make a significant investment, they would have already done it. And I think they probably would have cut Jordan Whitehead to do that. And since he's back, I think the Jets like their safeties better than the fans, and I like their safeties. So I'll just hope to be wrong, and hopefully Jordan Whitehead bounces back. But yeah, there isn't really a true free safety that we know can start on the roster. I'm really high on Tony Adams, so hopefully he gets some run there as well. Finally, besides quarterback, which position is too thin for your liking? Thank goodness we shouldn't have to say offensive line this year, knock on wood. Well, offensive line, there's a lot of question marks, but they did add a lot of depth. There's a lot of bodies there. So I don't think they're going to sign anybody else significant on the offensive line. I would probably say linebacker, bring back Quan, boom, easy, and then safety, like we just talked about. So to me, I guess I'm accepted in that DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be a Jet. Okay. Dalvin Cook, unlikely, even though I would do it. I think those are more splash type moves. But to me, a $3 million free safety, Rodney McLeod, John Johnson, and Quan Alexander for $3 million, it kind of rounds out the depth of your defense, and then we're good to go. We're good to go. I think that I want to improve this team. I want the Jets to be active post-June 1st, but make no mistake, I still think we're a contender. And if this is the squad we have and it didn't make any sense and people wanted too much money and that's all we could do, then I'll roll with these guys and we still have a shot. We have a shot to win it all. But we can increase the likelihood of that shot by being aggressive and making some more moves. And yeah, I think linebacker and safety are the two no-brainers, two weakest parts of the defense in terms of depth. All right, thanks for your questions. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk ball soon.